Some people say girls can't be gamers. Well, I say don't do cocaine with Master Chief unless you're ready to finish the fight. That's what he calls a late night attempting to summit the blue peak when watching homemade highlight reels of Cortana's 4th floor udders, them dairy turrets. Look, I usually don't like to get political, but back in my day, girls would play with your heart. You'd wish they'd play with your wiener, but they would never 1v1 you on Nuketown. And to get all three, one of the homies had to volunteer as tribute. Wasn't hard, always found a taker. Some people call that gay for play, I call it family. Thank you, Vin. But the times have changed, and it's a great year for gamers. Because games used to be made by dudes for dudes, now they're made by women for women who used to be dudes. Gaming has evolved from scaring the hoes to getting 3-stocked by the hoes in Super Smash Bros. Only to realize your controller wasn't working because you were holding your... Honestly, I didn't think about girls gaming ever, as I think most people don't, but then they started popping up everywhere. I mean everywhere. And I realized as much as there are a lot of girls that have a real love for gaming, those girls are not the ones I'm talking about today. You see, I respect the lady bros, just trying to get a night out with the girls. No one has a problem with that anywhere. But we're going to be talking about the others. You know what we call these creatures of the night? You know who I'm talking about. These others have taken over, and I believe the gaming industry is in a full hopocalypse. I mean, every gamer girl online is a RARX Double D, coochie cosplaying, shameless butt plugging, taco flaunting muscle mommy, and other rhetorics coined by anybody but Drake. Hoes. I believe it was the Mayans that first discovered this rhetoric. So let's dig into this ovarian invasion of the ancient arts. But first, I'm the Turtleneck Titan. You probably don't know me from YouTube, but as the guy who throws reverse Diddy parties. That's where I black out on ketamine and a bunch of geriatric widows beat the shit out of a black guy in the field behind the Cracker Barrel. But don't expect to see that list, my lips are sealed. Please subscribe. Back to the program. Now, I looked into the ancient texts to find out the origin of the hoe species. And guess what? By golly, I found the full story. So let's take a look at how they broke the code. But not just any code. The bro code. Let's take it back to the year 2006. Baddies had been dominating different hoe workforces for years, such as MySpace and Club Penguin. And somewhere deep in the Tumblr hoe development agency, where I assume they were storing sexy red and Glorilla as secret weapons in those Star Wars incubation tanks. Head of hoe ops at the time, J-Lo, had acquired a Wii and showed the Holuminati how much fun it was throwing a vibrator into a TV. Then the hoes became hellbent on integrating their experimental Brazilian butt lift technology into this new untapped market of gaming. You see, until then, the traditional American values of bros before hoes was a concrete pillar of the gaming community and couldn't be shaken by even the most casual of bros. And the hoes hated this systemic brotopia, and they would stop at nothing to infiltrate this economy. But they needed help. Wii Sports wasn't sensual enough and attracted more of a family audience, not so much of the tism-wielding brotherhood. They needed new games to come out that promoted the new world hoarder, a one-world algorithm that would promote the hoes to the highest status on every platform, every genre. But it would never be complete without gamers. So they started recruiting hoe alliances with the promises of an abundance of the future global currency, hoe attention. Of course, once they established the ovarian industrial complex. But this hoe psyop would have to invade from the inside. They realized the only way to implode the code of the brotherhood would be to join the one thing that is taking away from their hoe movement: playing the games. So they teamed up with game developers to design games that would promote hoe aesthetics and would be enjoyable to play for their agents of the hoe intelligence agency. They would infiltrate existing franchises with high bro engagement, such as Mortal Kombat, Pokemon, and eventually Call of Duty. They created a hoe formula of having either or, cute sidekicks, slow-paced RPGs with characters that could easily be cosplayed and hoified. They made more single-player games with more story and world building to isolate the bros, because they knew as the bros get older, it would be harder to line up schedules, making it more difficult to hop online and easier to play with the Lost in the Sauce games. These hoe tactics were beautifully executed with ease, but it wasn't until they partnered up with another hoe nonprofit across the pond, anime. You see, the anime hoes had the opposing problem. All their hoes were virtual. Nobody had thought to bring the hoes IRL, but when they had a merger meeting at the Hoe Economic Forum, they decided to pass the Hoes for Bros bill, that they would not only unite the forces, but would greenlight smaller hoe ops to destroy the code of gamers across all platforms, such as unleashing false bro prophets across the earth, wolves in sheep's clothing, masking themselves in pro-bro ideologies, speaking the masterful articulation of bro linguistics.
16% of physicists are women. 16%.
It's the physics of a sandwich.
luring the bros with the culture of successful business adventures, but in reality they would just show their true colors as double agents. They would be exposed as harboring and promoting hoes in their business practices, doing more damage to the bros disguised as chill dudes, taking bro finances and funneling them into overseas hoe intelligence agency escrow accounts.
100% of the time, in less than 3 months, they'd be back with an apology, a brand new pile of money, and the cycle would repeat. We fucking killed the game. Millions of dollars a week.
All for just more of the now growing currency of hoe attention. But in this, we found a few advocates for the code. No one preached the code more than Chris Breezy. With his anthem, These Hoes Ain't Loyal. But as much as the bros didn't agree with the methods of C. Breezy in his fight against the bro oppression, no one has been more passionate about fighting the hoes metaphorically and literally. But it would only empower the hoes, and they would grow more powerful. They had conquered gaming forums such as Reddit and Twitter. These platforms have become rampant with uncensored hoe activity and almost encouraged, as the political bros such as Elon Musk and Donald Trump were even too weak not to give in to the spell of the hoe lobbyist. It seemed all hope was lost, but what the HIA never would expect happened. They were losing hoe agents left and right. Rogue hoes, becoming independent contractors for themselves, removing the middle hoe and unleashing a new era of contract hoes. Anyone could be in their hoe era. Grannies, mothers, and even bros. They could go straight to the consumer, or should I say the gamer. No longer did they need the HIA's funding from Blackhawk, the sister corporation of BlackRock for HIA lobbyists. The contract hoes were now the master creating the masturbator. It was a full hoepocalypse. But amongst the chaos of this homageddon is when something happened. There was a spark ignited in the gamer bro community. It was a small Minecraft server with a group of hopeless bros, when one anonymous bro by the username Fertile Gaggins on this dick humbly asked a question. What if we don't need the hoes? He said. What if we go back to our first love of gay baiting our bros and LAN parties? The bros were hesitant at first, but then they started remembering what their sacks felt like full and what it was like the first time they said the N-word on Xbox Live. Or when they first walked into their buddy's room, the smell of piss, Axe body spray, and burnt rubber from the analog sticks. Bros were gathering in small discords and other Minecraft servers. Whispers of a rebellion forming. These whispers were slowly growing into a subreddit, where word was getting around, reaching the Master Chief lobbies, Fortnite pros, and even the indies. This rebellion grew like wildfire in the underground bro speakeasies, usually held in garages where bros would have LAN parties, drink beer, and listen to butt rock, and maybe toss around some different homoerotic would-you-rather scenarios with other bros, ending these nights with a secrecy handshake by peeing in the same bush and shaking the drip off another bro's hog, while whispering the forgotten code, bros before hoes. Secret bro bases were popping up all over, and a word of the bro rebellion was getting back to the hoes. They started to combat this rebellion by releasing home music, movies, podcasts, and skins, trying to correct the curve. But bros were abandoning the club for the garage. They're abandoning the theaters and hoe podcasts for feel-good gamer YouTube highlights, and they were dropping from the battle pass like flies. Bros were going public and taking a stand against the HIA, pulling their hoe assets and retaining their sack batter. We were losing some bros to crypto, but still pray they wouldn't lose their faith. Bros were forming alliances, merging the gym and games. Bros were realizing the resistance would need to be strong and sweaty to maintain longevity in the new movement. Even hoes were turning to the code. Agents that got in too deep undercover, actually falling in love with the games themselves and losing sight of their hoe oaths, resulting in hoes and even some bro hoes renouncing their oaths and joining the community with genuine passion for the games. The Hoe Economic Forum were desperate, so any hoe asset or resource, even experimental, were put into active duty. New types of hoe technology being thrown at us from all directions. It's been a bloody fight, but that brings us to today. The fight has been costly on both sides. Casualties have never been higher, but the hope of the code has not wavered. The message is still being taught to the new generations, but the fight has changed. Bros now have to fight for the future. As sides have been picked, we know where each other stands in this war on the code. Yes, hoes have more political power than ever, and hoe allies have their eyes wide shut, but the common populace have awakened to the code, and what has been seen in truth cannot be undone. Prodigals have come back to the code and the keyboard. Even though this new gen seems to have more hoe propaganda to fight than ever, they also have more willpower than in any time in the history of the code. And I think they have something we didn't. Hope. Stand in the gap for these future patriots of the code. And maybe, just maybe, we will restore the ancient prophecy of Brotopia our forefathers have lost in their selfish sin. Be stronger than them, like Frodo Gaggins on this day, a true bro. Never forgotten. So I say to you, remain in the fight, and as long as a bro draws breath, so does the code. Now listen, I know that by exposing this, a lot of people are going to come after me. They're going to call me a crazy conspiracy theorist and a hoe oppressor. They're going to call me all kinds of things, but I couldn't live with myself. We're coming to an age where you have to pick a side, and I've chose mine, and I can live with that. And I thought you guys should know the truth, because it's a dark one, and I know it's a lot, but I saw the ancient writings, the tablets, the cave drawings, and I won't be silenced. And if it's just one bro that sees this, sees the truth, and has faith in the code, it's worth it for me. But if you believe in this movement, please like and subscribe, because as the HIA is still active, they will try to do everything they can to not let this message get out. So please, don't do it for me. Do it for the code. Stay strong, my friends.